what in your mind then, if you're saying that the pressure is not necessarily all on Bruce Arians to win now, then what would you consider a successful season for them? Is it just making the playoffs, first round, divisional round, NFC Championship? We all know what the expectation is for Brady and Gronk. It's Super Bowl or bust.
Yes.
But what about the franchise itself? What about at the end of the season, what would ownership look at this season and say, you know what, we made it this far. That's a good year in our book.
You know what? It's really hard to find because we don't know exactly what the ownership wants. But at the same time, you look at what they've done in the past, and earlier I said 7-9 or 8-8 season, coming off a 7-9 season with a quarterback who we all agree, you out there in the interwebs and here on Fumblegate, we all agree that punch face is not going to get you over the hump and lead you to any kind of success.
Yeah.
But I think you have to, at this point, temper your enthusiasm because, again, you still have New Orleans. You finished last year at 13-3 in your division. I think playoffs is easily obtainable goal here in Tampa Bay. And, again, you have to remember what this franchise is working with. You're working with the losingest franchise in NFL history. So you have to be okay with making the playoffs, coming off a 7-9 season with a quarterback who's subpar, who hasn't even found a new job yet, and we can all agree is not an NFL starter, at least in the long run, in Jameis Winston. I think that the playoffs are an easily obtainable goal, and I think right now that has to be the upper echelon of what you want as a Tampa Bay owner, and again as a Tampa Bay fan. Like, if you are 10-6 and you make the playoffs in Tampa Bay, that is a successful season for you. You take out the Super Bowl win, and there is no expectation in Tampa Bay. You go back to the creamsicle uniforms and the first for season.
Bring them back. Bring the creamsicles back.
I agree. I love the creamsicle uniforms.
Oh.
And by the way, we'll shout out to the Chargers as we're talking about it. Great uniform rework out of the LA Chargers.
I'm not a Chargers fan, and I want a jersey.
No, right? Like, they went with all the colorways. They got the baby blues back. They got the all whites. They got the navies.
Numbers on the helmets.
I love it. They took all the colorways and they made some great uniforms out there in LA, formerly San Diego. Chargers did a great job with the uniforms. But, again, back to Tampa Bay. I think Super Bowl or bust, probably not my mentality. But, again, if you're a Tampa Bay fan, I don't know if that is your mentality because you're used to what you're dealing with. I grew up in Michigan for the most part of my formative years. It's not Super Bowl or bust if you're a Lions fan. Playoffs is a good deal. Now I live in Cincinnati. It's not Super Bowl or bust here in Cincinnati. It's playoffs are a good deal. So, we saw that with what we did with Marvin Lewis here in Cincinnati. You get to a few playoff games, you get a 5-11 season or a 4-12 season, and we let you keep your job. That's what we do. Again, Tampa Bay, you make the playoffs this year. I think that's a successful season. Again, they are a Super Bowl contender if they have the pieces they need. Again, if you were a betting person after the season ended and you bet on Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I would definitely be holding on to that ticket. But, right now, playoffs, good deal. Super Bowl contenders, we'll see. But, if I'm a Tampa Bay fan and I'm Tampa Bay ownership and I'm Bruce Arians and I'm the rest of that team, 10-6 season, making the playoffs, let's see if we can make a run. And we all know any given Sunday, you put the two teams on the field, you never know what's going to happen. But, make the playoffs and let's see what happens. Tom Brady in the playoffs, I don't hate Tom Brady in the playoffs, especially when he's got a guy like with the guy like Gronkowski. We got Mike Evans, we got Chris Goodwin. Let's take our chances, but you got to get there first. And with what they have right now on their roster, it doesn't suck.
No, it certainly doesn't. Quickly for me, I think if anything, you got to get out of the wild card round. The playoffs are absolutely a given. You got to make the playoffs with this roster that you have assembled now with the additions that you've had. come in on top of what you're going to add in the draft. You got to make the playoffs. But I think beyond that, for the expectations that are out there, fair or not, and I think that plays into it too, that the expectations may be a little unfair, to your point, given how lowly this franchise has been for forever. Outside of a few years with Tony Dungy and John Gruden, it's been pretty porous. So I think the expectations are a little sky high right now because there's a buzz around it. But I think realistically, if you can get into the divisional round with this team, and let's not discount the fact that there's probably not going to be much of an offseason program, if not one at all. And that means this offense is going to need time to build up and build that cohesion and build that chemistry. So keep that in mind. That'll probably spill into the regular season because we're not going to have any camps, it looks like. We don't know what's going to happen. Sean Payton's already said, we're not doing any offseason, no virtual training programs. Come into training camp in July in the best shape of your life, and let's roll. Nothing before that. So I think that plays a factor in there